What if Finn the human became the very thing he swore to destroy, the Lich itself? In one of the wildest Adventure Time comics ever written, we see a version of Finn whose heroism leads to his own downfall. And while this story isn't canon to the main show, it expands the multiverse in interesting ways. This is the story of Lich Finn. Now, before you skip thinking it's non-canon, remember, Adventure Time is a multiverse, just like Rick and Morty. Infinite worlds, infinite Finns and Jakes, infinite possibilities. While this comic might not be canon to the show universe, it should be considered canon to its own universe, and trust me, it's probably one of the best comics about animated shows I've ever read, and I'm sure you'll like it as well. The comic starts with Finn and Jake fighting against some weird jelly-like creature who has absorbed some of the villagers. Finn is holding his scarlet sword, which is damaged, and is happy to see the new sword. The shape of this sword reminds me of the Lichland prize sword, the sword Finn receives as a prize for defeating the Lich's dungeon, Lichland, in the original comics run. This sword is also seen in a flashback during issue 32. After some clashes, Finn manages to get inside the jelly monster and gets his new sword and destroys the monster from the inside. Finn and Jake sing, and we learn that a couple of days ago Jake swallowed the little computer, which enables him to have a much better voice. However, accidentally we can hear voices of others coming from Finn's mouth, and learn that Ice King is trying to marry a computer princess. She's been traveling the land of Oo and writing all the information about the land. She takes the crown of Ice King, and we see her analyzing the ice crown, which seems to contain all the information at once, including Betty's wish that is yet to occur. This makes Ice King extremely mad and forces the trio to leave his place. They then go to Computer Princess's place, where we see Princess Bubblegum and Marceline. Computer Princess upgrades Finn's swallowed computer, which enables him not only to sing better, but to keep the recordings for later as well. She then asks Finn and Jake if they can find the Enchiridion for her, which the duo gladly accept. However, after they leave, we see her collecting Finn's hair in some kind of test tube. The duo realizes that they do not know where the Enchiridion is, but know the person who might have that information. Oo's greatest hero, Billy. At the end of the first chapter, we see Billy in his cave looking nervously at Lich, who in this universe is sealed in Billy's cave instead of Princess Bubblegum's castle. We see Lich calling Billy, with the Enchiridion being next to him for some unknown reason. In the next chapter, Jake and Finn find a poet named Henry Alexander, who is depressed because of his woman. His sadness affects Jake, who offers him their help, which makes Finn annoyed since their initial goal was to find Enchiridion. They reach the well, where the woman is supposed to be. This enrages Finn because he didn't mention it before, but right before he could reach the well, Giant Mist tells them to leave. Before it could reach Henry Alexander and Finn, Jake grabs them. This makes Finn even madder since he feels like they're running out of time from their main quest. Henry Alexander tells them that the only way for them to save the lady is via his poems. Finn is reluctant on that, but Jake convinces him to help him. Out of nowhere, Neptune arrives. Then they decide to visit the Flame Princess and tell her that they need to save the woman in the well, and a rap is going to do it. Then they come up with the rap song and go to the well. Henry talks to the Mist about his new song, which in the end works, and he gets his woman back, which turns out to be the Mist. At the end, Flame Princess asks Finn if he'll go with her at Princess Bubblegum's art show, which Finn is kinda hesitant to since he doesn't want another distraction. The chapter ends with Computer Princess's weird collection of candy citizens and sad Billy, who's asked by the Lich to give him the Enchiridion book. The third chapter starts with the Candy Kingdom's art event. Finn and Jake explain to her the importance of the Enchiridion and how it'll help Finn become a real hero, not just some kid who goes on adventures like Lumpy Space Princess told him, which makes Jake realize that Lumpy Princess's words are the reason why Finn acts weird lately. Nothing particularly interesting happens in this chapter, to be honest. We meet the villain called Impressionist. He traps Finn, Jake, Flame Princess, Peppermint Butler, and other candy citizens in his paintings. Marceline and Lady fight him, and Ice King accidentally frees Finn and the others from his imprisonment, and in the end traps Impressionist in his painting. At the end of the chapter, we see Billy approaching the Computer Princess and for some reason calls her Her Highness. In the end, Billy asks for her help with the Lich since he speaks. In the next chapter, we're introduced with Jake's cousin Donnie, who asks for their help with the Cat Queen and her minions who captured their cousins. Again, Finn is reluctant to help them, but in the end is again convinced by Jake, who told him that it's family time. He gets Joshua's hat with him and goes to the mothership with Donnie. In this universe, Joshua got bitten by Warren Ampersand, and from that bite came Jake. Warren Ampersand later bit a bunch of other dogs as well, which in the end resulted in more space dog cousins. Cousin Donnie promises Finn and Jake that after they get the cat situation locked down, He will use his scanner to find Billy. We then see other cousins and the Cat Queen, who reveals that the reason why the dogs are captured is because they play the music loudly. This further enrages Finn, who wants to fight this Cat Queen but is stopped by Jake. Her straightforward approach about the dismissal of dogs makes Finn madder, who bites Jake to free himself from him and challenges her in a dancing competition. In the end, Jake and the dogs win, which makes the queen mad, and she opens the ship to eject everyone outside. Finn holds the dogs instead of going to the airlock, even though the dogs can breathe outside, but in the process loses his arm, which follows the trend of Finn losing his arm in every universe. Finn's reckless behavior makes Jake mad, and the two have a heated argument. Jake blames Finn for the loss of his arm, since he didn't get to the airlock and decided to play the hero, while Finn blames Jake for that by saying that he might still have his arm if Jake wasn't so focused on making peace with the Cat Queen. This saddens Jake, but Finn is still determined to find Billy, who, as they learn, is in the computer kingdom, which confuses both Jake and Finn. Finn wants to find out why Billy is with Computer Princess, while Jake wants to chill a bit, since Finn doesn't look good, but in the end is convinced to continue their journey to Billy. They meet him at Computer Princess's laboratory, but Billy's shiny skin makes them confused. Finn and Jake are worried about Billy's presence at the laboratory instead of guarding the Enchiridion, but Billy reassures them that it's impossible since it's sealed in amber next to the Lich. But he also reveals that the Lich has been getting into his head and he can't get him out. Every day the Lich haunts Billy in that cave, and Computer Princess told him about her need for that book. But before they can get it, Billy needs help in defeating the Lich once and for all. This still doesn't explain as to why he's at the laboratory instead of the cave, and Computer Princess casually reveals that he's there because he actually is not Billy but a robot. She explains that 20 years ago she met him. Back then the Lich was causing a lot of destruction for the people of Uu. The only way she could help the citizens of Uu was by helping restoring everyone's broken tech free of charge. Billy asks him to give him some repairs so that he might be able to stop the Lich. This opportunity entices the princess, who creates the clone of Billy so he would have a much better chance against the Lich in a 2-on-1 battle. In the end, the duo of Billys were able to defeat and seal the Lich. Finn asks where the real Billy is, which is unknown to the robot Billy, who explains that his memory of that time is corrupt and he doesn't know what happened to Billy Prime. The only thing that he knows is that he managed to seal the Lich away and that the Enchiridion accidentally got caught in the crossfire. He hasn't seen the real Billy ever since, and even though the Lich can't get the Enchiridion, neither can they. The Computer Princess later reveals that for the past couple months she's been artifacting everything she encounters in Uu, from Ice King's crown to the hair on Finn's head. Everything is being processed through her supercomputers. She explains that this way, no matter if there is rain or fire, no matter how much time has passed, Uu will never be lost, because they will always have a copy of something and someone. This annoys Jake since it happened without his consent, but Jake is excited about his clone. She says that the Enchiridion is the last artifact she needs archiving before everything is complete. Finn decides to go get the book with the aid of his robot clone, but Jake is hesitant. He doesn't want to hang out with Robot Finn, but with his best bud. Finn tries to convince Jake to get help from Robot Finn, but Jake is still not convinced, which results in the two having a heated argument. Finn takes out the clone and says that he's made up his mind. He wants to get the book and defeat the Lich. Angry and concerned, Jake reminds Finn that only one Billy survived the fight and he is the hero and the mission is too risky for Finn. This saddens Finn, but still doesn't change his plan. He asks Billy about the directions and alongside with Robot Finn goes to Billy's cave. Computer Princess closes the door so Jake cannot go after them. Jake, guilty about Finn, takes out Ice King's crown and wants to test the crown's wish-granting abilities. But before we see how it works, the scene shifts to Billy's cave, where we can see Finn and his clone inside it. The Lich gaslights Finn into fighting and tells him that the only way for him to become the hero is to defeat him and get the book. But after he attacks the Lich, the latter one quickly escapes and possesses Finn. In the next chapter we can see Lich-possessed Finn, who tries to steal Bubblegum's crown jewel, but before he can do that, he's attacked by Marceline. For a time, Finn gets his consciousness back and asks Marceline to get Jake and Computer Princess. We then see Finn trying to escape the Lich's influence but is too weak to fight him. Inside his mind, Finn tries to fight the Lich, who shows Finn his failures, which draws Finn further into the Lich's influence. Lich fixes Finn's lost hand and fully takes command of his body. He then explains his goal and why he wanted to possess the Book of Enchiridion. His goal is similar to Farm World Liches. He wants to open the pathways to other dimensions, to gain knowledge to reach even bigger worlds. For years he's been striving, hunting, tracking down this book. The heroes of old would study this book in hopes of creating a better world, but not him. He seeks to destroy the world into complete non-existence. Billy halted his conquest in a mount of amber, but not anymore. A foolish boy in his hopes to be a hero becomes his new body through the sacrifice of his old one. He brings nothing but destruction, he's inescapable, unpreventable, the end. Meanwhile, back in the lab, things start taking a strange turn. The Ice King suddenly bursts in, demanding that Computer Princess give back his crown. He claims his sweet memories are trapped inside it, and even threatens to force her to marry him if she doesn't return it. Jake, already stressed out about Finn running off, decides to take matters into his own hands. Computer Princess warns him not to, that the crown hasn't been fully tested yet, but Jake doesn't listen. He grabs it anyway. He insists he doesn't have a minute to spare. He says he needs the crown to grant him a wish, right now. And as he places it on his head, the circuits on the metal start glowing bright red. The moment it touches him, something goes horribly wrong. Jake's body stiffens, his eyes go blank, he starts convulsing and collapses to the ground, screaming in pain as static energy surges through him. The others watch in shock as the crown begins to take control. Strange symbols start glowing across its surface, and Jake begins to speak in a distorted ancient language, words no one can understand. Computer Princess calls out to him, but it's too late. His body begins to twist unnaturally, and a fiery light opens inside his mind. Inside Jake's mind, things take a surreal turn. He wakes up in a vast, echoing space that looks like a mix between a dream and a data stream. "Whoa," he says. "Is this my mind?" Nice echo. Despite everything, Jake can't help but joke around, saying how much Finn would have loved it here. As he wanders through his own thoughts, he finds strange memory screens floating in midair, showing moments from his past, adventures with Finn, pranks, hugs, fights, and all the chaos they've been through together. Each memory is trapped in its own glowing frame, connected by wires that pulse like neurons. Jake smiles sadly. "Aw, Finn, I sure hope you're okay. I'm gonna make this right. You can count on me, homie." But then he sees something else, a massive, ghostly version of the Ice King, or maybe what the crown really is. The twisted, burning essence of its magic looms before him. Jake stares in disbelief. Whoa, is that the crown's true form? Before he can react, the vision shifts. He suddenly sees Simon and Betty running for their lives with strange figures behind them. It looks like in this universe, Simon was not alone with Marceline. He also had Betty as well. For some reason, Betty is also holding a miniature Golb. This vision finally hits Jake. He realizes that he's seeing the memories of the previous wearers of the crown. He spots a strange diagram labeled Current Holder, which is Simon, and also You Evergreen, and realizes the horrifying truth. The Ice King's madness isn't random. It's a curse passed from one person to another. And now Jake's mind is being pulled into that same chain. He screams, "Ice King," just as the vision collapses into light. Back in the real world, Computer Princess panics. "Oh no, this is bad, Billy, really bad. I killed a dog," she yells, her voice cracking with guilt. Marceline flies in, holding Princess Bubblegum, shouting that they have a problem. PB looks around in shock. Billy, the Ice King, Jake, all in one place, and demands to know what's happening. The lab turns into complete chaos as everyone starts shouting at once. Billy tries to calm them, but Computer Princess finally breaks down. She confesses that Billy isn't completely alive, just kinda alive, suspended somewhere between life and data. PB demands to know what else she's hiding. Marceline presses about what's in those strange glowing tubes around the lab. The princess pleads silence, saying she can explain everything if everyone would just pipe down. And then she says it. "I goofed up again." Everyone falls silent. The tension in the room is thick. Ice King mutters nonsense in the corner, still demanding his crown, while Jake's body lies motionless nearby. Back inside the crown's chaotic world, Jake continues wandering through fragments of memories. Betty begs him not to put on the crown again. She warns him it'll destroy him, that he'll lose himself for good this time, but Simon doesn't listen. He says his only priority is keeping them safe, and if the crown can grant him a wish, then he has to use it now. However, the miniature Golb that Betty is holding is shattered, which makes the red energy erupt from the crown, exploding across the white void. Simon's body begins to twist as he transforms into a Golb-like creature. Jake watches it all unfold and looks at the broken pieces of miniature Golb, fits them into place, and puts the crown on his head. "I wish," Jake whispers, "to save my best bud, Finn." After that, we see Jake, still having his now Golb-fused ice crown, still trapped inside the void with nothing but weird TVs around him. And then, suddenly, a monstrous figure descends from above, enormous, red, covered in scales and multiple eyes, its mouth grinning with jagged teeth, staring directly at Jake. Golb. Back in the lab, Bubblegum and Marceline are furious. They confront Computer Princess, accusing her of crossing the line. That her archiving system wasn't just preservation, it was cloning without anyone's consent. Marceline yells that she never agreed to having her likeness replicated, and even jokes bitterly that her clone's bass guitar doesn't look nearly as cool as the real one. But the princess insists it's all for the greater good, that having doubles of everyone will protect the kingdoms in the long run. That argument stops cold when Marceline says, "That's why we're here, princess. We saw Finn." Computer Princess lights up, assuming it means Finn's returning victorious, but Marceline cuts her off. "He's possessed." The room falls silent. Before anyone can react, alarms start blaring. Billy turns to the princess and says quietly, "Jake is turning red." Inside the crown's inner world, Jake's wish takes a horrifying turn. His body begins to melt and twist. Golb attacks and then swallows Jake, similar to how it did with Betty, Simon, and Jake in Come Along With Me. And in the present, he is transformed into something unrecognizable. His body twists into a spider-like shape, his eyes pure white, his limbs stretching unnaturally across the lab walls. The blue circuits of the robotic crown are now glowing crimson. Computer Princess tries to approach, saying she can handle it, but Jake lets out a blood-chilling scream and launches himself upward, crashing through the ceiling. Marceline stares in horror. "I've seen that shade of red before," she says quietly, "and it's one I never want to see again." She finally names it, Golb. The final panel shows the possessed, monstrous Jake leaping across the sky, crown pulsing with a sinister red glow, his voice now completely overtaken by Golb's corrupted language. This is how the story ends for now. The next chapter will be released next month, and I'll definitely do a follow-up. This comic might not be canon to the main storyline, but it definitely has its own unique charm and interesting points. What do you think? How will the story go? How strong is Lich-possessed Finn and Golb-influenced Jake? Are these their strongest versions that we've seen so far? Let me know in the comments, like this video, and subscribe to the channel for more.